Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Hey Shakun, good to see you. This is the first time we're sort of. I mean, we always tend to chat face to face. Look at the times. Look at the times we're in.
Well, Rajeev, we're all preparing for the future, How's it going?
Oh dear, don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought. But what have you been
Well,
up to,
video
Shakun?
call is not such a bad thing.
Oh, it's funny because I'm talking to filmmakers, and it feels like every filmmaker says not such a bad thing. I'm adjusting. This is the life I normally lead. What is it about filmmakers that they're not finding this particularly difficult? I mean, I'm losing my mind.
Well, to be honest, secretly, I'm loving it. And I think this enforced downtime should happen 1 week every year. Because this way you can really just take it easy without wondering what the rest of the world is doing, because everyone's doing this.
Right.
Also, I think it's day 4, so everyone's still, in their version of like the same version of themselves. But
Right.
I think if it was day 10, I'm actually quite curious to see what happens on day 10.
Right.
I've often wanted to kind of go away from those, Vipassana trips for 10 days.
Correct.
But now this is for me like a trial period to see how comfortable am I even with this idea, without meeting too many people. I mean, I only meet my neighbors. I only see my neighbors in the day. That's it.
Correct. Okay. And you live alone, and that's still not hard, Shakun. You live alone. You're literally like not seeing anyone else. It's not hard at all.
Well, it reminds me of my film school days. It's like, you wake up, you live in your own apartment, you just watch some movies, you read a little bit. And then, you do the regular domestic chores, and then your day is almost ending.
Right.
I have been quite comfortable being on my own, to be honest. And I'm actually enjoying the whole domesticity of like watering your plants, taking care of the stuff, the food, little bit of cleaning. I have realized vacuuming your house is seriously therapeutic. And in fact, I think I'm going to do it more often. In fact,
I'm going to give
I
it a
was
shot.
randomly pulling out the vacuum. Like, let me clean this also, So I think, I don't know, so far so good. Let's see what happens on day 10.
Okay.
We are all on Big Boss, just in our own houses.
It really does feel like that. Shakun, a couple of days ago, I think it was last week, wasn't it 4 years of your last film, Kapoor Sons?
Yes, March 18th, and please don't remind me. It only reminds me how quickly time is flying, how old I'm getting without really being productive. So,
but did it bring back memories of making that film? Because I think a lot of people really, I love that film. I remember drawing up a list of my top films of the decade, and it's one of those films that I really love, because I think what you did with the whole dysfunctional family format was so unlike the typical dysfunctional family movie, and it had heart, and it was so beautifully acted. Do you have memories of making that film? Did those memories come back on when you were? Now you have all the time even, right? And now the mind is just sort of wandering in a sense. So did those memories come back this time when it was anniversary, when it was the 18th?
Well, to be honest, I didn't even realize, because actually on the 18th of March, I was supposed to be flying out to Sri Lanka. So I was only preparing for this film. I had completely forgotten anything to do with Kapoor and Son, what was going on.
Right.
On the 13th, me and my EP sat together and we were like, okay, I'm flying out on the 18th. If I fly out and the crew joins me, somehow we get away, then the quarantine starts, then what happens? And how does it affect the budget and insurance? You can't claim insurance because we are leaving in the middle of this crisis. And then all of a sudden we all, this was on the 11th. So on the 11th, people didn't know what was really coming. We were still thinking that things might happen.
Yeah.
And I think on the 13th, we sat together and it was like, all right, this is not going to happen. You got to pull the plug. At this point, just wait and watch where things go. And then I remember calling Karan, and Karan came to our office and we're like, okay, we got to take this call and we just have to stop. I remember Deepika was supposed to fly to Montreal around the 9th or the 10th. And I was supposed to be Sri Lanka, and then we were all supposed to meet there on the 18th and start work.
Wow. And the best laid plans, right? I mean,
I know.
This is, of course, the new film. Now, the new film has Deepika, it has Siddhant Chaturvedi, and it has Ananya Pandey. All we know about it at this point is that it's a relationship film, which is a really broad term, because pretty much everything does eventually become a relationship film. But what are you going to tell us at this point about the new film?
It's a story about two lovers who go and try find a sanitizer in Bombay, and then listen, Rajeev, I don't even know when this movie is going to release. So how can I even, I mean, right now to share anything is so, for me, kind of so stupid, because I don't know when this movie will release. So to share any information right now is just I'm finding it kind of hard. But yes, it's a relationship drama, but I think with this, I feel I'm trying to, I've always enjoyed more grown-up adult entertainment, and I feel in our country we don't always tend to that audience.
True.
And this is me really trying to make a film in my mid-30s about people coming into their 30s. So I'm dealing with characters who are not going to college, who are not going to college and who are not falling in love just for the first time or the second time. It's the feeling of that comes with relationship in your 30s. It doesn't come with the same amount of intensity and passion, and it's something that you've experienced before. So it has its own graph, and I think I'm really excited to kind of explore idea of relationship. What does the idea of relationship mean in your 30s? And I think with that, all that comes into it.
Okay. That's sort of, you've given us something and yet given us pretty much nothing. But I get what you're saying.
I've given you the main plot. It's the sanitizer thing. That's the main one. I think I might have to make that change also, given the situation.
What I want to ask you, Shakun, is I've been speaking to filmmakers this whole week. I spoke to Anurag Kashyap and I spoke to Rajamouli, and both of them, were on set when this happened, when they had to kind of, really pretty much, shut down and kind of, go into lockdown, as we all have. For you, when you suddenly have this, even before you go into production, when you suddenly have this sort of period where now you have at least 21 days and probably more, where you can't film, what does this time allow you to do as far as tinkering with the script is concerned? As far as, I mean, is this in some way, are you able to use this time productively?
Well, yes, as productively as one can. You see, I was all prep for Sri Lanka and that part of the schedule of the film, and all of a sudden, around the 10th or 11th, when I realized that this might not happen, I started to kind of have plan B for the Bombay shoot, because I thought Bombay might still, what if Bombay happens end of April, or, so I had to kind of recalibrate, sit with my AD and production and start figuring out what are the possibilities if we were now to start Bombay first. We still hadn't logged all locations, cast dates will change, all of that will change. So kind of, we were going into kind of plan B prep mode, but now, are you okay?
Yeah.
The recording?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, since since the last about 6 or 7 days, when we were 100% sure that we'd all be sitting at home, what has happened is I have started to relook at the scenes because now I know my locations. I've spent time. I've done the tech recce. I can literally be reading scenes and know exactly what costumes would they be wearing in that location. I have pictures of everything. So it's like kind of doing a previs in my own head of those things. So I'm revising a few things, but I'm not trying to go crazy over it. But I do visit the script. I do, I have a few points on my board here, which I wake up in the morning, I read, let it cook at the back of my mind, and then, go about your daily thing. You watch stuff, take some notes, you're reading a few books, some ideas pop in. I'm also really trying to think. I've always, had these germs of ideas, and I'm now letting them cook for whatever next is to come. What are the stories I would like to explore after that?
What are your actors doing? What are your actors doing?
I was talking to Deepika.
Usually.
Yeah. I was talking to Deepika just before this call. We can call her. She knows you're going to be on a call. You are the host. If you dial her in,
you think?
Why don't we dial her in? Yeah.
You think she'd be okay? You think she'd get on and tell us what she's up to?
Yeah, I was actually joking with her. Yeah, I was joking with her. And I was telling her that we might just call her. Why don't you call her?
Okay, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a
hangout session. Yeah.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
This is what everyone's doing. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. This is going to take a little while to figure out because I'm new to all this.
I'm going to just text her. Hold on. I'm just
I've made a call. Let's see if she answers. These film stars, Shakun, I don't trust them. Yeah.
He might catch her washing her dishes.
Hi.
Oh, okay. I hear a voice.
Your camera's off. Can you put your
voice.
camera on?
Hello.
Oh my god. Okay. I was like betting. I was like, I don't think she'll join. I was like, I don't know. Wow, that's a nice place to wake up to.
I mean, nobody was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping at least. But Debs, what's going on? I was telling you we're gonna do this call, and now we've got you on this hangout session with us. What's going on?
I'm so excited because this is the first one I'm doing, and it's nice to connect with people from the outside world.
Correct. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? We're usually doing this in like studios and hotel banquets and all sorts of things, and now this.
Yeah, but I
what?
have to say it's I think it's very refreshing. I think for one, we're getting to do everything that you want to do without any guilt. So, whether it's sleeping or catching up on movies, or you don't feel like you're missing out while the world is really, out there working really
Right.
hard. You feel like, okay, this is nice. And, you can do whatever you want to do without feeling any guilt.
Correct. But
Okay,
what
hold
have
on.
you been... Yeah.
Sorry, Rajiv, do you know, Deepika, you holding the phone? Can you hold it horizontally?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
My video is cropped. Okay.
Now, Deepika, Shakun was telling us how you guys were meant to be in Sri Lanka right now shooting the film. That's now on hold till whenever. But have you had a chance? I mean, does this time allow you to more time to prep? And is this that kind of part? Is this that kind of film?
Honestly, I think with any film, you can just keep prepping,
Sure.
So sometimes you're thrown into it. Sometimes you've got 6 months to prep for it. So I don't think any film for that matter, you can just keep prepping. But yes, there is a point where you feel like, this biryani is ready. It needs to, it needs to happen.
Right.
So I feel like this time that we're getting is good, but I also hope that it doesn't get into this space where you're like so ready and you're just dying to, which is also great. I mean, it's always a nice feeling when you're just dying to start work.
Right.
And I'm sure most of us are feeling like that. So I think it's finding that right balance between feeling like, this was great, and it's given us a little more time to prep. But I think it's also, you don't want to get into that space where Shakun, I'm not trying to scare you here, but you also don't want to get into that space where you're like, come on, like I've lived with this, because the process begins, the process begins from the time, Shakun gave me this narration,
in September,
like
October, I think.
Yeah, like 6 months ago or something, or August last year. And the minute you've heard a narration, irrespective of when, schedules are being worked out and dates are being worked out, and, all of that is good. The prep work is emotionally, as a character, your process has already begun from the time you've heard a script and if you've liked it.
Right.
So to kind of hold on to that emotionally it's exhausting, after a point. So, but at some, so I think it's really about finding that balance of the right time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shakun, sorry.
No, I was saying the good thing is that I was wondering, what if you had just started shooting? People who had just started shooting, who shot like 1 week, 2 weeks, and then taken a break, and you don't know when you're going to go back, and you got to still work with that footage, go back in. In a way, I was saying on the 13th when we took this, I was telling Rajeev that you were supposed to fly to Montreal, I was supposed to fly in Sri Lanka, and we were supposed to meet, and the costume trials had happened, and we were all like discussing this is the look for that scene. And then, thankfully, I guess we didn't start shooting, because that would be a bit of a mindfuck. It's like now.
I think in that sense, we really got lucky. The great thing is that we hadn't left. We weren't stranded somewhere else. We're not in a place where we've started shoot and now we're stuck. I know a lot of people who had literally few days of shoot left to actually get done with a film.
Yeah.
So fortunately for us, we've not been in that place. We were pretty much at the end of prep, getting into gearing up for shoot when this happens. So I think we're lucky in that sense.
Oh yeah, I know. I was really even Anaita, homie's wife, was styling the film, and I remember when English Medium released, and a day later this news came out. Anaita and I were together. We were chatting, and it was devastating. It was heartbreaking. You put so much work into a film, and one day later you don't know when it's going to come back on the screens. And I think. Yes, given the situation, I think we are the luckiest few, who are prepped. So, who are prepped, we know what we want to do. And now we just we have to all hope that things will be safe enough to go back in the real world, you know.
And
But
I
tell
think
me-
we were well in
sorry.
time to pull the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me now, besides the prep and besides the film, what are the other stuff that you can now tend to, which you had been putting off? You know, one of those things that I'll do it when I have the time, I'll do it when I have the time, and you never really get the time. And now you suddenly do. To both of you, what are the things that I see Deepika is in the kitchen a little bit. I saw the Nutella desserts being made. Next time I come over for an interview, I know what I'm asking for. Shakun, what have both of you, what have you been doing that you've been putting off until now?
Well, Deepika thought she's gonna do a season of on her Instagram, but now the moment we realize it's a 21-day lockdown, I text her saying, "Now you have 3 seasons. Plan ahead." Because she need. But now
I'm bloody running out of ideas. I'm like, everyone else
Yeah.
is posting
And I must
away.
send.
While
But you
I'm
know,
like,
I have
मैं
to.
कल करूंगी.
But go for it. What are you saying?
So yeah.
No, I mean different things. You know, I don't know, cleaning. Just
I
like,
saw wardrobe cleaning.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been sort of a home. What do you say? Like, proud of my home in terms of maintaining.
You told me
it
a
and-
Marie Kondo. You're
You
going
know,
to Marie Kondo in your
I am
house.
the Indian Marie Kondo. I'm taking that one. But you know, I think just getting more into it, labeling spices, like you name it, I'm doing everything. Watching a movie every night. We're literally watching, you know, one movie.
I need
every night.
both of you to give us recommendations. I need both of you to give us some recommendations.
Oh wow! I think every single Oscar-nominated movie this year is a must-watch. You
What
know,
did you
and
love?
I think, huh?
What did you love?
I mean, of course, I love Parasite, but I feel like Jojo Rabbit was really
I
up
love
there
Jojo
for
Rabbit.
me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they were all amazing. Ford versus Ferrari, they were all really amazing. But I feel like if there was one really strong contender for, you know, Parasite, it would be Jojo Rabbit for me.
Okay, Shakun, for you, I think you're going to say. I think I
Listen.
know which one you're going to say.
Which one?
Marriage Story. That's mine.
No, I
I
love
was-
marriage stories.
You did?
No, I listen. I loved a lot of the films, and I've been watching. I've been actually just going crazy watching films right now. I think Little Women just came out on YouTube, so I watched that. I enjoyed that, and you know, then I also watched A Rainy Day in New York, which is Woody Allen's new film, and you know, I'm a big Woody Allen fan, so it was great to kind of go back watch one of his films.
I'm going to give you a quick tip.
Midsommar,
I'm
which
going to
is
give you a quick tip. His autobiography is out. It's on Kindle. You can download it. It's the memoir he's written himself.
Oh,
The
great.
Woody
yes,
Allen-
and
the Woody
I
Allen
have
autobiography.
right behind me the whole shelf of all of Woody Allen films and all of Woody Allen books.
Come on,
So,
flip your camera.
it's
Show us.
already,
Show us.
It's
Show us.
okay. Hold on. Let's go do this. So this is the Woody Allen shelf. This is also a Woody Allen shelf. And yeah, these are all kind of film books. This is my favorite, Conversation with Wilder, which I think Anurag also mentioned,
On the
which
book,
I
on the
love.
show, yeah.
That's the board with all the things I got to finish.
Don't
And
show them
that's
that.
the board with all the notes. Yeah, people will be zooming in HD and be like, what is going on in this
What is
film?
that?
I told Rajeev our film is about 2 lovers who are trying to find sanitizer in Bombay.
Oh, makeout scene. Oh, they have a makeout. Ooh, okay.
But what are you showing us,
Yeah.
Deepika? What are you going to give us a view of the kitchen? What are you?
And the labels, I want the spice labels.
Yeah, I
Come
want the
on.
spices.
I'll post a picture of it.
Okay.
No.
I'll post a picture of it afterwards. So yes, that's what we've been doing. And exercise, I think, you know, I know a lot of people have a problem with exercise videos that are going up. But to be honest, putting up exercise videos, or rather exercising, not really putting up the videos, is, I think it's more about how you feel. It's not really about how you look.
Right.
But it really keeps, you know, Ranveer and me at least, it really keeps us going. Just exercising, you know, it really gets us through the day.
Right. It makes some of us feel really bad, but that's another story.
But you know,
It's about how you feel, not necessarily how you look.
Right. Okay.
You know, of course, like even this, like everything right now, and this is a disclaimer that should have come right on top of this interview. Everything right now we discussed could sound like a first world problem, but what I'm liking about everything is that with every 2 serious WhatsApp news things that you get, you also get 5 jokes. And I think
right.
that's the way to balance it, is you got to be
Correct.
able to kind of see the seriousness of it. You got to go, adhere to the rules. You got to contribute in whatever way you can. But at the same time, you can't sit at home 12 hours a day thinking about it. You have to distract yourself. You have to find ways of, entertaining yourself. And I mean, if anything, I've been spamming my friend's phone, including Deepika's, with just like stupid jokes and memes. And I was telling people, the day this gets over, the first thing I'm doing is I'm calling some friends over and I'm calling it a BYOS party. Bring your own sanitizer.
Right.
So,
but it's true, because I mean, if you don't find the humor in this, it's going to be really hard to get through this time.
Absolutely. I mean, and of course, I think, of course it's serious. I think we're all grown up enough and intelligent enough to understand, most of us at least, the seriousness of it, what we need to do to prevent it. But you've also got to get through a day, and it's not one day, it's not 1 week. For now, it's 21 days, which is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize the emotional impact it has on a lot of people. So I think whether it's circulating verified news or whether it's just not circulating that news at all anymore, I think everyone's got the message loud and clear. I think now it's just about, focusing on other things that bring about joy or positivity or happiness, and that's different things for different people.
Yeah. So what? Listen, I have to. I'm going to ask that question, right? Where is the husband? What is he up to? I mean, is he napping? Is this nap time?
Varun, surprise him.
I have to say he's the easiest person to live with in this scenario, because in 24 hours he's sleeping for about 20 hours, which really allows me time to do things that I want to do. I play my music, I'm doing my cleaning, I'm doing my thing. And then for the 4 hours that he's awake, we're either watching a movie, eating, exercising. So he's a real, joy to be with at this point. No demands, no hassle, nothing. Just really easy.
Well, at least when he wakes up, he knows where the dhania is. So he's good.
That's if he goes into the kitchen, which he never does. But I want to get into cooking, which I will at some point. I'm really good at like Western cooking and Italian and continental and all of that. I've always been scared of the cooker though. But I think one of the things I want to do in this time is to learn Indian cooking. So I think in that scenario, it would be really nice to tell the difference between dhania and pudina and besan and atta.
That's why you started the labeling. It's step one.
Step one, correct.
Step one, just get the ingredients right.
That hajmola and this one looks different. You got to figure it out.
But are there moments? I mean, like I was telling Shakun earlier, I'm sort of losing my mind. I need to keep going to the window and just looking at other humans, and I'm glad I'm doing these chats, because at least I'm seeing other faces. Are you guys doing that? Are you going to the window? Are you kind of like, do you need that little bit of? I mean, is that required? I mean, do you just need to see that everyone's in this together?
Yes, of course. I mean, I think you look out of the window. It's nice to just get some fresh air. Fortunately, we have a few plants in the apartment. We live in an apartment, so we have a few plants that I like to nurture and water them and see how they're growing every day, and that's therapeutic.
Right.
But yes, I mean, but no, am I bored of this? No, I don't understand when people say they're bored, because I'm not that person.
Okay.
I'll always find something to do, even in the busiest time or even in a time like this. I think I'm someone who's always found things to do and keep my mind engaged. So when people say they're bored, I don't get it.
Right. Shakun, you basically live in Monica and Rachel's apartment, right? Because you have the same view from your window, I believe.
Well, yes. I mean, the thing is, if you live in car, everyone can look into your apartment and you can look into their apartment. But I do have a lovely rooftop terrace with a lawn and trees. And just like her, because the gardener's not coming in, I called him and I said, I'm going to water all the plants. So I've been just doing that, and it's great. And I just like at this point, I don't get bored. I'm not bored. I've been reading a lot. I've been listening to podcasts that have been pending, and all these things are keeping me busy. And And this stuff is good. I find cleaning cupboards very therapeutic and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm into all that stuff.
So Deepika, I was looking at your Instagram account, and you know, you're kind of finding ways to make this fun. You're kind of like finding ways to also make this fun for your fans. What is on the next episode of the Instagram feed? Give us a
I
little
told
preview.
you.
Right now, Katrina's beaten you to the washing of the.
She actually beat me to 2. I called her out only on 1. She beat me to 2: the bartan dhoing and the jhadu katka dusting, which I anyway do. It's just I just didn't beat her at posting it. So maybe laundry. So I'm taking dibs on laundry, guys. Anyone who's thinking of putting out a laundry post, that's me. I'm taking first dibs on it.
All right, great.
Shakun, how is the domestic life treating you? I mean, are you cooking for yourself, Shakun? You said you are venturing into the kitchen, yeah?
I don't want to go in that dangerous territory yet. Okay. I've had my cook for enough for like 3 or 4 days, and my very close friend Aisha, today I called her and she was kind enough to cook extra, and I'll just have to go pick up the stuff. But you know,
you can't go on the
like
street, Shakun, they'll beat you up.
No, you can go to buy essentials. I mean, instead of buying groceries, I'd rather just go get cooked food. And I think that's the only thing I'm going to do. Also, you know, I've lived like this. I've lived the student life for a couple of years, you know, away from home, being on my own. So for me, this is actually nostalgia, living that again. And that's what I said. I've just watched, listening to stuff and finding new music online. And I love this stuff. This is great.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, this is quite easy. For a lot of people,
I want this 1 week every year.
Okay, you know, that is scary.
You know, if you watch, okay, Rajeev, if you watch the Bill Gates Netflix special that they have, Decoding His Brain, every year he takes 1 week or 10 days and he calls it the Think Week, where he checks into a little cottage and he goes and thinks and just reads, and that's what he does. And I think what happens the first 2-3 days, it's uncomfortable, but after that, once your mind settles down, it starts to absorb all the things which otherwise it would not, you know, and you have so much time, so you're not doing things completely out of purpose. You're doing it because you have the time, and this way your mind absorbs a lot more. You know, you're not forcing it. You are going into a direction purely out of curiosity, and you're bumping into things, you're learning, you're picking. I've never gone from, you know, I used to do this. You start watching one thing, you go into interview of that person, what he says, then you go into interview of that person. And similarly, I've now created like a whole network of things which otherwise I would have never done, you know.
Right.
Yep.
You know, Deepika, I've been to your home, and it's this stunning home, and I feel like you have to give us like a bit of a tour, yeah. Like don't take us into where the husband is napping, but show us the balcony, show us something. I mean, there has to be
show us the beautiful bathroom with the golden sink. Which is inspired from Padmavat.
We're very private about our home, so as much as possible, we don't put it out there.
Okay, spoil sport. I
tried saving it for if I was in my office 100%, but I think our home is something we're just very, very protective of.
Fair enough.
In fact, even on Sunday when we were sort of clapping and that kind of thing went out, both of us at the end of it we were like, oh my god, we've put out a lot of the home. We shouldn't do that again.
Okay.
Rajeev, I can show you my tiny balcony if that helps.
You must. And I want to see those. And I
just don't want to show you my kitchen because I will go into shock and you'll have to stop interviews for the next week.
No, go on. Show us. Show.
No, I'm joking. You've seen everything. I've already shown you. But I'm just saying, don't be disappointed. I can show you this.
I can show you a little bit of how do you undo this camera? Yeah. How do you
just tap on this?
Just tap your
flip.
Yeah.
Okay. Here.
Okay.
So this is just some stuff I'm doing.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's my Crystal Award that I just kept here because I don't want it to I don't want anyone to dust it and break it.
Okay.
Those are my medicines and water that I have to have for today. This is my diary where I slot in everything that I have to do. That's my laptop. That's our script.
Okay.
This is my pencil box.
A new version is coming. You can just hold on to that.
Huh?
A new version is gonna come post-corona.
Oh no!
Where every third scene you have to sanitize your hands. in the film,
Oh
instead of
God.
people smoking and drinking, they're passing the
I
sanitizer.
made Shakun. This is the script that I have here is the film that I'm doing because all my notes are in this one. So I'm not
Yeah, do
referring
it.
to any
Just add sanitizer.
Do you
Every
make a lot of
scene,
notes? Do you make a lot of
she
notes in the
passes
margin?
the sanitizer.
Um, I do. I did realize though that I used to make a lot of mental notes.
Okay.
But now I've actually started making them over there while I'm reading the script, um, behind the pages and stuff like that. But earlier there used to be a lot of mental notes. But I have started,
Listen,
writing them down.
listen, I have to tell you, she is great. When we sit down for readings, she comes with a little that little stationery thing that we saw, the bag, and she has a ruler. She has highlighter of different colors. She'll highlight every character in different color, all on her own, and she will take notes next to everything. And then one day I changed the scene slightly, and I gave her a different size, and she was reading, and she's like, "No, but this wasn't this 2 weeks ago." So she's very sharp, and she tries to underplay it, but she's really professional as hell. Like, I'm worried to change stuff because I'm like, she's already made her notes. But
Nice.
it's all for the better. And thankfully we've had a couple of really good sessions. It's been really collaborative and fun so far. And now we just have to get
That's
through
what I
this.
miss. I feel like the energy on this film is great. It comes from the top. It comes from Shakun. I think I love the kind of films that he enjoys watching as a person, as a director, films that he's influenced by, and they're totally the kind of films that I've always enjoyed watching as as an audience. And as an actor, the kind of films that I love being a part of, which is just people and relationships, and the idea is simple, but it's really about moments and things like that. Kapoor and Sons,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm looking forward to this film, because it's exactly that. I mean, yes, of course, there's the story and the narrative, but every scene is delicious, and there's so much for us to do in it. He's clear about broadly what he wants, but then he's also open to us moving around, playing with it. And the workshops that we've done with him, individually with him, as well as all the other characters together. So yeah, I think we're in a really good place, and we're actually ready to start. I think the minute we know that this thing is, sort of going to settle down, I think we're all set.
Wow. I can see I can sort of sense the excitement. I mean, and that's wonderful, right? When one is just sort of onto something, when one feels like one is onto something that's really going to be exciting. Can't wait to see what you guys do. But listen, before we go, I feel like I have to ask you. I know you both said that you don't find this particularly stressful. You're not losing your mind like I am. But I want to ask you, what is the first thing that you would like to do and that you will do when sort of the world normalizes? When we can go back to doing actually what we want. Do you know what might be the first thing that you'll do? Both of you.
Shakun?
I told you I'm throwing a BYOS party. Both are invited. And
Okay.
secondly, I think what I really want to do. I think this last 5 days and continuing in, I do have a bunch of stuff that I want to watch, listen to, and read. And what I want to do is be able to kind of uh, uh, find a way of not dropping this idea of going back and exposing myself to material. Find a way. I know we all talk about these things, after you come back from holiday, that I'll do this. But I
Right.
do like this idea of, and I'm genuinely serious, I do like this idea of 1 week where you allow yourself to just sit and absorb things. And I think it's not an instant thing I'll do, but it's a thing that I want to do every year. And I know Deepika and I've spoken about this, where she takes, I think, 3 weeks off in a year, just kind of, for personal growth. And I think just a little more mindful living, and those are things that I'm really interested in. And this has given me a taste of it. And I think
Okay.
uh, I would like to kind of find a little more balanced way, a holistic way of working. And the same thing I'm expecting on a film. Deepika and I both, I think, in our conversation, we realize that we love our work and it's something we really go to, we show up on shoot with a lot of love and excitement. but we
Right.
also want to kind of make sure that there's a bigger picture, and you're living, you're looking at work in a holistic way, and you're living your life with it, and you're not forgetting that. So I think these are things that have been playing on my mind, and I really want to incorporate that into my work and daily life. So that's my plan.
How lovely, yeah. Deepika, for you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what that first thing is.
Sure.
That I'm going to do. Probably go and see my parents, because I was actually scheduled to travel to Bangalore, see them, and then leave for our schedule, because we were going to be out for what, like 2 months, Shakun. So
Yeah, a
the
month,
idea
yeah.
was to see them, and then, so I think that's probably the first thing I'll do, which is just go and see them in flesh and blood. Um, Apart from that, I feel like, kind of maintain this. I'm actually quite curious to see how people come out of this.
Yeah.
Are we going to come out
Yeah.
more? Are we going to
Absolutely.
come
Yeah.
out more evolved? And has this impacted us in a positive way? And are we going to do, or are we going to come back with double the vengeance of, like taking the insanity that we were sort of living in, and coming back with double the vengeance, which will actually be quite scary. I
Right.
hope that most people, and this is not to take away from the suffering and the struggle that
Yeah.
people are going through. Okay. I think we're cognizant of that, but I think I'm just talking in a larger. I'm not taking into consideration the economic impact, or in the way that this has affected daily wage workers, or
Right.
people who have lost lives. All of that, of course, are things that we've got to be cognizant of. But I think the larger picture, how have we used this time to actually evolve as people, and how are we going to get back into this world? I think that for me is, I'm quite curious, apart from the amazing things that are happening to the environment as we all sit
Correct.
inside.
Correct.
So it'll be interesting to see how each one has been influenced by this, and how we get back into this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
How,
you know,
how
I
much it
was,
changes us. Yeah.
I was really curious about what she was saying, and I think I also was kind of just going on and reading about what this could be, and then there's this thing I came across at it was called hedonic treadmill, which is that people eventually go back to their relative level of happiness, regardless
Right.
of the big or small things. Once it opens up in a month, we all go back to how
Yeah.
we've known life, or the idea of happiness, and that's also such an interesting thing. These big things you think will affect you in huge ways. Of course, the economy, as you said, these things are going to be affected hugely, and it will
Yeah.
affect all of us in small, different ways. But I think the idea of daily living and happiness, we tend to fall back to that idea, which is very individual and subjective to all of us.
I'm really sorry I'm bringing this up, but as soon as he said treadmill, I thought of Tamasha, and that's exactly what this movie was about. It's about how we get back onto that treadmill. Everyone just gets back onto that
Yeah.
treadmill of life, which is just going at that same, that same momentum and that same pace. Um, and I think to get off that treadmill, is that realization has to come from within. I don't think anyone else can sort of tell you that.
Right.
You've got to
Well, that's the
experience it
true
for
freedom.
yourself.
Yeah. For a lot of
Yeah,
us,
exactly.
for a lot of us, I think going back to the movies, going
But
back.
if we're too optimistic, Rajeev, why don't you tell us what
No,
do
I
you
think
see?
that's lovely, and you're right. I mean, if we come out of this unchanged, it would be such a shame. It would be such a lost opportunity if this doesn't really allow us to sort of, reflect on our lives, and reflect on how what really makes us happy. If it doesn't, then it would be a lost opportunity. I completely,
Sure.
I'm with you on that. But for a lot of us, I know I speak for my community. Just going back to the movies, going back to the cinemas. I think that for a lot of us, that was such a part of our routine. Going to the cinemas and watching films. I can't wait for that also. Of course, reflection, and of course going ahead, and for the movies, because that makes a lot of us really very happy. So make a lovely movie, the two of you, when you do set off again. Can't wait to see what you do with it, because both of you know I'm a big admirer of both of your work individually. So can't wait to see what you do together. But thank you for this. I had a great fun. I had
Thank
a fun
you.
chat. This was great. Can't wait to, all the best, and we'll be closely tracking the movie. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for doing
Rajeev.
this.
Bye.
And
Thank
if you're ever bored, feel free to call.
I'm gonna take you. I might take you up on that. Might take you up on that.
Just do more hangout sessions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will do.
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.